this is Sally welcoming you to the 2212th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline the 7th of November 2019. The readers this week are Colin, Joan and Geoffrey, with Hass on the controls. The editor was Phillip, and the production and distribution team is Peter and Sandra. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Brewer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from the Enfield Independent and the Enfield Dispatch and are their copyright. The lead story this week, Enfield prepares for snap election. Now, the sunrise and sunset times for the week beginning the 11th of November 2019 are sunrise at 07:11 and sunset at 16:17. Before the news, we are sorry to report the death of Robin Bester, a long-time volunteer with ETN, the recordist for this group for many years, as well as the treasurer of the charity. Robin stepped back from his role a year ago, but remained in close contact with us. He will be sorely missed. Now Colin will read the first item of local news.
Enfield prepares for snap general election. Brexit likely to be key issue as voters head to the polls once more. Voters in 3 Enfield constituencies will head to the polls next month for a third general election in less than 5 years. MPs agreed to hold an election on Thursday the 12th of December as they faced another stalemate on Brexit and decided a fresh poll was the best way to break the impasse. It will be the first December general election in nearly a century. Enfield Southgate could once again become a key battleground. The Conservative Party will be eyeing up the Labour-held seat, with a win there likely to indicate they are on course for a majority. It has switched 3 times between the two major parties over the last 3 decades, providing the infamous Portillo moment in 1997 when New Labour swept to power, then being regained by the Tories in 2005 before swinging back to Labour at the snap election of 2017. Former Enfield Southgate MP David Burrows is aiming to make a comeback in the constituency he represented in Parliament for 12 years as a Conservative. His defeat to Bambos Shiramboulis was one of the big upsets at the last election, helping Jeremy Corbyn's Labour gain 30 seats across the country. Since his election to Westminster, Bambos has become a whip for the opposition in the House of Commons and is seen as a key ally of the party leader. Local issues in Enfield Southgate that could influence voters include a highly controversial 18-storey redevelopment scheme on the edge of the Southgate Circus conservation area, with David Burrows coming out firmly against the plans. If Brexit becomes the key issue for voters at this election, however, it could be bad news for the Tory candidate, with the constituency having voted strongly to remain in the EU at the 2016 referendum. Over the last year, Enfield North has attracted many national headlines, firstly after Joan Ryan lost a vote of no confidence among Labour members in the constituency. Then again, a few months later, when she sensationally quit the party to join the newly formed Change UK group of MPs. In September, Joan announced she was standing down from Parliament completely, although it was always unlikely she would have been able to win re-election as an MP without wearing a red rosette. The battle to replace Joan Ryan as Labour's candidate for Enfield North has been bitterly fought. A local selection process that had been going on for several weeks was suspended in October by Labour Party bosses, who decided to draw up their own preferred list of candidates at the expense of several local members who had been hoping to stand. One person denied the chance to win the selection race was an Enfield councillor, Tolga Aramaz, who later hit out at Labour's National Executive Committee on Twitter, saying, "The party is deciding to parachute people in as it has shown that it cares not for grassroots." In the end, the race to replace Joan Ryan was won by a councillor from Shoreditch, Ferrell Clark. Ferrell is currently Hackney Council's Cabinet Member for Health, Social Care, Leisure and Parks, but said she was honoured to be selected as the Labour candidate for Enfield North. Whether Ferrell can successfully defend the 10,000 vote majority won by Joan Ryan in 2017 may depend on how quickly she is able to get to know the local area and ingratiate herself with voters on the doorstep. Enfield North has recent history of being a Tory-held seat, having been narrowly won by Nick Dubois in 2010 before he was defeated 5 years later. This time out, the Conservative candidate is local councillor Joan Laban, the leader of the opposition on Enfield Council, who will likely benefit from being a more familiar face with local voters. Enfield North is also the most Brexit-leaning constituency in the borough, although it still voted narrowly to remain in the EU. In Edmonton, which has comfortably returned a Labour MP at every election since 1997, there would seem to be little chance of anyone being able to oust incumbent Kate Osamore, who won a whopping 71.5% of the vote in 2017. Kate, who grew up in nearby Haringey, was first elected in 2015 and a year later was appointed as Shadow Secretary of State for International Development. She attracted controversy last year, however, when her son, whom she employed in her constituency office, was convicted of drug offences. The furore following the case led to Kate's resignation from the Shadow Cabinet, but she decided to continue as an MP. Amid a wave of so-called trigger ballots from Labour constituency parties around the country, whereby a sitting MP can be forced to fight a local selection contest, Kate was threatened with deselection in October, although it is not clear why. However, the Labour Party has since confirmed that Kate will not have to defeat local rivals to retain her candidacy for re-election. At time of going to press, the Conservatives have yet to confirm who their Edmonton candidate would be. While the two main parties are likely to be the chief contenders for all three Enfield Borough constituencies, polling suggests that both the Liberal Democrats and newly formed Brexit Party will gain votes at the expense of Labour and the Tories in what will likely be a campaign focused around the issue of the UK's continued membership of the European Union. It would take something of a political earthquake for either of these smaller parties to win a seat in Enfield. But with many voters wanting to express a clear view on Brexit at the ballot box, they could still play a key role in determining who ultimately wins on Thursday, the 12th of December.
This next item is entitled Keeping It Festive. Kevin Medshire from Chicken Shed on what audiences can expect at the theatre this festive season. Don't get me wrong. Here at Chicken Shed, we're very used to being busy. 200 students are in the building most days. 800 members of our children's and youth theatres attend their regular sessions and rehearsals throughout the week and at weekends. Plus, we have more than 300 performances every year in our various performance spaces. What's more, Over the past year, we've added a programme of classes and workshops such as yoga, Pilates, Qigong, mindfulness and kettlebell weight training, which have all attracted new people through our doors for the first time. I've been working at Chicken Shed for 12 years, and I can confirm it's been getting busier every year, and it wasn't exactly quiet when I started. Some time ago, I took on the additional role of overseeing commercial development, and as part of that, I began a process to examine precisely how we were using our amazing building. As a result, we've been able to welcome some amazing local people and organisations to run events and fundraisers over the past year. In making these links, our aim has always been to look beyond the purely commercial benefits for both sides and to embrace opportunities to partner with those who are able to share our vision of a world where everyone is welcomed and included. In the coming months, we'll host 59 performances of our fab festive show, Snow White, with a diverse cast of 800, split into 4 different casts, so 200 per show. As if that was not enough, we'll also have another great show running at the same time. Christmas Tales is aimed at young children up to 6 years, and there will be 20 performances in total, meaning we'll have as many as 4 shows in a single day. We've also slotted in some amazing festive gigs on the Snow White set, featuring Georgie Fame and the Blue Flames, Judy Sutze and Liani Carroll. And finally, we've got a Christmas market and our pop-up charity shop every Wednesday. I also want to mention that we recently took over the running of the Chicken Shed Cafe and the theatre bar after a 10-year period of it being run by third parties. We've been working hard to build a new menu with the underlying principle that all profits go to support the amazing work that Chicken Shed does, giving opportunities to young people. Please do find time to visit us over the upcoming months. We'd love to show you what the world looks like when you let everyone in to play their part.
The next item is by James Cracknell and it's headed up Care Workers Strike Over Pay. Staff at a care home for people with learning disabilities have been going on strike in a dispute over low pay. Members of the Blue Chip Staff Association, BCSA, decided to walk out for 1 day per week in October after their employer, Care Management Group, CMG, refused to raise their wages. The staff work at a care home in Pembroke Avenue, and this offers a specialist supported living service for people with profound or multiple learning difficulties. They'd been demanding an increase in pay from the national minimum wage of £8.21 per hour to the London living wage of £10.55 per hour, and that is the rate tied to the cost of living in the capital. But pay negotiations broke down after CMG, who are an Enfield council contractor, argued their budget from the local authority was not enough to cover the cost of higher wages. Nezil Kaliskan, the council leader, has in turn claimed that CMG makes increasing profits that really are enough to fund a wage rise. BSA national organiser Ted Purcell told the Dispatch, I met with the council leader and she was absolutely horrified. She'd no idea about the low pay and said she supports the London living wage. The council was under the impression that workers were getting £10 per hour, and it's appalling to learn that they only actually get £8.21 per hour. The last thing to do is to take people out on strike. It is really a last resort. Our members work hard to deliver care, and without them, these patients would not receive the quality of life that they deserve. They're frustrated and fed up with receiving the minimum wage to carry out this job. Their hard work is not being recognised. Councillor Caliscan met with some of the striking care workers last month, and she said they are working with some of the most vulnerable people in our community, and they deserve to receive a decent wage. The council appreciates the financial constraints that we're all working under and has always been very clear about these challenges. We would also want the same level of transparency from the service providers with their staff, so when an organisation continues to increase their profits, I do not believe it is unreasonable that the staff should also benefit. A CMG spokesperson said, "Our staff are incredibly hard-working, caring and compassionate individuals, and we value them greatly. Ensuring that our staff receive a decent wage is incredibly important to us, but we are constrained by the fees that we receive from the commissioners. We do, however, appreciate and understand the funding pressures that are faced by local authorities, and as an organisation, we do aim to increase salaries year on year. We are looking into ways in which we can reward our staff, and this will only continue."
Housing estates could see £770 million regeneration. More than 2,000 new homes could be built under plans to regenerate ageing housing estates in Enfield. A £770 million scheme to redevelop the Joyce Avenue and Snells Park estates in Edmonton would provide a substantial increase in affordable homes, the council says. The site is close to several other major planned housing projects, including Enfield's Meridian Water and the High Road West scheme in Haringey. Council bosses say maintenance costs for the current block of flats, built from the 1950s onwards, are expected to rise as more repair works are needed. They add that furbishing the homes would be more expensive than knocking them down and building new flats, as it would not bring in any more income. Refurbishing the estates would also involve billing leaseholders for the work, and that could be completely unaffordable for many households. The estates currently suffer from antisocial behaviour problems, and the council says these could be reduced by redesigning the new buildings to improve security. Under the plans, more than 2,100 new homes will be built, while the existing 795 homes will be replaced. Half of the homes will be classed as affordable, with the remaining offered as build to rent. Affordable homes include 395 at social rents for existing residents to move back into, with the rest being London affordable rent, shared ownership and intermediate rent. The scheme could involve building on part of the neighbouring Florence Hayes recreation ground, but the council says the ground has been closed for many years due to antisocial behaviour, and some of the space could be re-provided at a much higher quality. There are also cost concerns, with the debt for the scheme expected to reach more than £600 million by 2034. Under Greater London Authority rules, Enfield Council will need to secure the backing of residents in a vote on its plans before it can start work. An initial consultation with residents suggests that they are in favour of a full redevelopment of the estates.
Council tax to rise again. Bills to rise by a total of 4% if budget voted through next year. Council tax bills look set to rise again during the next financial year. Enfield's top decision makers have agreed a 1.99% increase in core council tax and a 2% rise in the adult social care precept for 2020-21. The precept is a ring-fence levy that can only be spent on adult social services. Bills could rise further if the Mayor of London announces an increase in the share of council tax going to the Greater London Authority at City Hall. Cabinet members agreed the rises, which form part of Enfield's medium-term financial plan, at a civic centre meeting last month. The changes still need to be signed off by councillors at the annual budget meeting in February next year. Mary Maguire, the council's cabinet member for finance, said general fund finances are tight, and despite the fact that the government announced some new monies for adult and children's social care, it's still not nearly enough for the demand pressures we face. Our aim has been to set a resilient budget, one that is not reliant on one-off resources. The government's approach over the past couple of years has been to announce one-off funding, which is not sustainable. What we need is proper, decent, predictable funding so we can plan properly. Enfield Council had to make £18 million worth of savings ahead of the 2019-20 financial year, on top of £178 million already been made since 2010. The rise in council tax would bring in an extra £3 million per year. Despite savings and extra revenue-raising plans, officers are still working to close a £3.5 million budget gap. Alev Kazimoglu, Cabinet Member for Health and Social Care, thanked colleagues for helping to protect social care from funding cuts. She said, "We have continued to live year to year in adult social care, not getting the sustainable funding we need. The extra money we have been given by the government is not even meeting demand. It is just enough to possibly cover our inflationary costs like wages. It is not being recognised that there is an increased demand for care, so we are not being fully funded in the way that we should be. The crisis is continuing, but this administration is doing its best."
Christmas lights set for town centres. Enfield Council has announced the dates for this year's Christmas light switch-ons. The council is installing lights across the borough's main town centres this year to boost trade and support retailers. Despite the council being forced to make savings of £179 million since 2010 because of government funding cuts, the council has allocated funding to turn Enfield's town centres into winter wonderlands to attract shoppers. A mix of Christmas trees, cross-street lighting and lamppost-mounted lights will add to the festive spirit across Enfield Town, Palmer's Green Angel Edmonton, Winchmore Hill, Southgate and Edmonton Green. In Enfield Town, new energy-efficient LED lighting will be installed in trees at the Library Green and Fountain Island. These lights will be permanently installed and illuminated to celebrate other events and festivities throughout the year, and will supplement cross-street lighting in Church Street, London Road and Market Square, as well as the traditional tree at Fountain Island. This year, the Old Enfield Charitable Trust and the Council Street lighting partner, Bouygues Energies and Services, will be providing additional funding. Official switch-ons will take place in Enfield Town on Sunday, December the 1st at 5:30 p.m, Angel Edmonton on Thursday, November the 28th, and Palmer's Green on Thursday, November the 21st at 4 p.m.
This one is also about Christmas and is headed up Old Market, New Ideas. And it's a letter from Amanda Wanshoup, who is the Old Enfield Charitable Trust new manager of Marketplace in Enfield. And that, of course, is the site of the weekly Royal Charter Market, which runs on Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays. She says, I've introduced a Crafter's Corner, which takes place on the first Saturday of the month. And we also now do a natter morning every Thursday. We're holding our Christmas market here on Sunday, the 8th of December, from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m, and we will be providing a platform for local craftspeople to sell their wares and for visitors to find unique and personal gifts. There will be pottery, handmade bags, jewellery and artwork, all from talented people. Our regular traders will also be selling toys and Christmas decorations. The Christmas market will play a key part in bringing our community together at this seasonal time of year.
11 easy eco swaps we can all make at home. 2019 has been a big year when it comes to plastic. So many more of us are now finally trying to use less, recycle more, and just generally think about the planet. And it's high time, but there's always at least one extra change you can make. A recent YouGov poll revealed that almost half of us, 49%, admit we could do more when it comes to recycling. So now is the time to start. We believe that simple swaps from plastic to paper and cardboard alternatives could significantly reduce single-use plastic, says Alex Manisty, Group Head of Strategy at DS Smith, a sustainable packaging company. While there is no silver bullet, sustainable packaging has a huge role to play, and unlike plastic, paper and cardboard are materials that are recyclable not just in theory but in practice, achieving recycling rates of 85% today across Europe. So how can you do more? Try making these easy eco-swaps at home. Number 1, keep food fresh without using cling film. You can use offcuts of fabric covered in beeswax and coconut oil instead of cling film to keep food fresh in the fridge. Or, if that's too much like hard work, you can buy your own beeswax wraps. Try Bees Wrap assorted reusable food wraps. A pack of 3 is costing £15.99p at Lakeland. Number 2, only use recyclable wrapping paper. Most of us are aware you can't recycle all wrapping paper, but we often throw it in with the paper waste and hope for the best. Non-paper gift wrap, such as foil-based wrapping paper or bags, cannot be recycled. You can check if your wrap can be recycled by scrunching it. If it springs back when you scrunch it, it's not recyclable. Just buy lovely brown paper and decorate presents with ribbons and string, which can also be reused. When you are recycling wrap, remember to remove any bits with labels or sellotape on them. Number 3, put your recycling in the right bin. It sounds obvious, but so many people put items in the wrong recycling bins. This Christmas, more than 90% of us are set to shop online, which according to DS Smith means that 25% more cardboard will make its way into residential collections. To make sure that all recyclable paper and cardboard is actually sent for recycling, residents need to make sure that it ends up in the correct recycling bin. Number 4, bin the bubble wrap. Bubble wrap and plastic-lined envelopes are extremely difficult to recycle, so use paper versions instead. They'll protect any goodies you're popping in the post and can then be recycled. Number 5, use a good old hanky. Tissues, paper towels and kitchen roll cannot be recycled once used, mainly for hygiene reasons. So why not go old school and swap these for a handkerchief or a cloth so you can wash them and reuse. Treat yourself to a reusable coffee cup. If you frequent the likes of Starbucks or Costa for your morning caffeine fix, maybe it's time to get yourself a reusable coffee cup. According to new YouGov research commissioned by DS Smith, the number of disposable cups used each year in the UK is estimated to have risen by 20%, from 2.5 billion in 2016 to 3 billion. Number 7, don't forget to recycle your pizza boxes. Pizza boxes are 100% recyclable even when greasy, as long as there is no food left in them and they aren't heavily stained. The best way of ensuring your pizza box can be recycled is to remove any crusts, leftover food, and soak up any excess oil. Number 8, think about the cards you buy. Greetings cards can be recycled as long as they are not covered in glitter or other non-paper materials, so only buy ones you can recycle. Number 9, stop buying records and CDs. I know, we love vinyl too, but do you really need any more stuff cluttering up your home? Sign up to a music streaming service like Spotify, where you can select and play pretty much any song you fancy listening to. And if you treat yourself to a new Google Nest Mini, £49 at store.google.com, pop it on your Christmas list. Not only will you be able to listen to your tunes on a quality speaker, but you don't even need to use the app. You can ask Google to play you anything you want to listen to. Oh, and the Nest Mini base is made of 35% recycled materials, while the cover is made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, so it's also a green product to invest in. Number 10, shop with recyclability in mind. Look for the on-pack recycling information and avoid foods packaged in single-use plastics. Black plastic cannot be recycled, and companies like Marks & Spencer are doing something about this. Their priority is to remove or reduce plastic packaging, and as part of this, they have removed 1,700 tonnes of black plastic from products such as fruit and veg, meat and fish, and their mini bites tubs, while also launching new, widely recyclable terracotta CPET trays to replace black plastic. And finally, number 11, Use more eco-friendly ways to stay warm. If you feel the cold, it can be tempting to have the heating on more frequently. But if you want to use less energy, why not focus on just warming yourself up? Throw on an extra jumper or cozy up in a super efficient electric blanket, perfect for popping on the bed, having on your lap if you work from home, or snuggling up with on the sofa.
And now 2 items about rail services in the Enfield area. Firstly, Ponders End. Complaint over timetable changes. Timetable changes at Ponders End Station have been slammed as unacceptable. Rail company Greater Anglia made adjustments to its timetable following the launch of a shuttle service from Meridian Water to Stratford, with fewer trains from Liverpool Street stopping at Ponders End each evening, forcing people to change at Brimsdown in Zone 6. More trains now start from Stratford instead. Writing to transport watchdog London Travel Watch, Phillip Ridley from Enfield Transport Users Group said, "It is completely unacceptable. My commute was once a convenient 17-minute service twice an hour. It has now turned into a nightmare. As if I had moved to Hertfordshire with a 44-minute journey and a need to pay for Zone 6 tickets. Completely unacceptable." Greater Anglia apologised to passengers for any inconvenience, but said the changes were made to reduce congestion and improve punctuality. And now for Winchmore Hill. Network Rail apologises to residents. Network Rail has apologised for a lack of communication over work to install new fencing at the rear of people's gardens. Work on the railway embankment started in September, but later stopped after Hoppers Road residents complained they hadn't been notified of work adjacent to their properties. A Network Rail spokesman said, "We apologise for the lack of clear communication about work to upgrade fencing near Winchmore Hill Station. This was not good enough. Work on this project has been postponed. Network Rail will write to residents in the area to provide information about the project prior to work restarting."
Scouts celebrate 60 years in Southgate. 60 years of the 20th Southgate Scouts Group was celebrated as a special anniversary party last month. Originally founded as the 198th North London in 1959, the group provides a wide range of activities for young people aged from 6 to 14 years, from its base in Cannon Road, Southgate. Beavers, Cubs and Scouts all attended the party together, with group leaders past and present, plus special guests including Steve Smith, the District Commissioner for Scouting in Southgate, and Joe Law, whose father, Phillip, was a founder member and the first Scout leader of the group. Mayor of Enfield, Kate Anna Louis, was another very welcome guest, and she commented on the uplifting and positive energy from all who attended. During their Diamond Jubilee year, the Scouts have been enjoying a wide range of special activities, including burying a time capsule, linking up with a group in Massachusetts who are also celebrating 40 years of formation, and having a sleepover at Legoland Windsor Amusement Park. Best of all, the Scouts have been given Blue Peter badges. An exclusive commemorative badge was also produced to commemorate the anniversary and was presented to the Mayor and to the other special guests at the party, which finished with a rendition of Happy Birthday and the cutting of an amazing 3-tiered cake dressed in Scouts uniform. Here's to the next 60 years.
The next item is headed up Scammers Target Elderly Woman, and the subheading is Victim Had 2 bank cards stolen in car park. An elderly woman had more than £700 stolen when she was scammed at a car park. 2 men at Oakwood Underground Station car park in Enfield pressurised the 86-year-old woman into using a card in a parking meter before stealing 2 of her bank cards, and this took place on August the 8th. The victim, who lives in Enfield, came forward with her story after reading about a similar incident on October the 9th at a car park outside Marks & Spencer's in Winchmore Hill, Southgate. British Transport Police have confirmed that the incident took place at 10 a.m. A spokesman said one of the men made off with 2 of her bank cards, and these cards were then used fraudulently. The victim said she was coming back from the post office in Bramley Road, Oakwood, when she found a man standing beside her car. He warned her that someone had photographed her registration number and she would be fined if she did not pay. She said, "My first thought was how nice of him to help me. He asked me for my registration number, and I had my 2 cards for which he could see me putting in my PIN. She put 1 card in, and it was swallowed by the machine. So she entered another card, and the same thing happened." The victim then noticed that the 2 men took her card. She'd suggested that the 2 men withdrew £700 from her account, and that should read, obviously she found that the 2 men had withdrawn £700 from her account. Later, further money was also spent in a B&Q store and in a chemist. The victim said, "It's devastating. I was brought up to trust people. You feel violated and you feel like it's such a stupid thing in which to be involved. All the money has actually now since been reimbursed." British Transport Police have stated that a number of inquiries are ongoing. The reference earlier on is to Deanna Rogers, 66-year-old, who was the victim of a similar crime in Southgate, in which she inserted her card into a parking meter when pressurised by a man, and she had £30 taken from her account. Another matter just to mention, I fairly recently had my car broken into, and it was broken into in order to steal the blue badge which was on display. I would just suggest that many of our listeners may very well also have blue badges, and if it's not necessary for the badge to be displayed at night, I suggest it is removed and put safely into a pocket in the car.
This is a letter from Dr. Rebecca Redwood, who is from Stop Edmonton Incinerator Now. And she writes, "Concerns about the rebuilding of the incinerator in Edmonton include evidence showing that where you have an incinerator, you have low recycling rates. Of course, the terrible effects of air pollution on health are already well known. However, I'm writing today about the cost to taxpayers. There have been numerous price tags put on the new incinerator, from between £650 million and £800 million. What concerns me is that we don't know the latest cost estimate, despite asking, and if central government does not provide the loan, how much will it affect our council tax, and for how many years will we be paying it back? Strangely, North London Waste Authority just sent out a press release about the impact of 2 million people's rubbish on the climate emergency should the rebuild not go ahead. But if the rebuild does go ahead, it will lock us into up to 50 years of burning rubbish, including recyclables, producing as much as 700,000 tonnes of CO2 every year. Why should we have to pay to pollute?
And now for a sporting item. Cash boost for Netball League. £250,000 set to be spent on renovating courts in Palmer's Green. Broomfield Park in Palmer's Green will continue to be the home of netball in North London thanks to a £100,000 grant from Sport England. Enfield Council will use the money to help renovate 9 existing courts at the park, currently used by 80 teams and more than 1,000 players every year. The North London Netball League has been based at Broomfield Park since 1950. The money from Sport England will be added to the £150,000 already received from the London Marathon Charitable Trust. Before renovation can begin, however, plans for the project will need to win planning approval. The council is working with Historic England and other parties to ensure the improvements are sympathetic to the surrounding landscape. Maria Mitchell from North London Netball League said, "We're delighted that both Sport England and London Marathon Charitable Trust have awarded grant funding to enable the redevelopment of the netball courts in Broomfield Park. We look forward to working with Enfield Council to see the renovations completed. As the North London Netball League approaches its 70th anniversary, it's great to know our teams will be able to play their sport for many years to come on decent and safe courts in Palmer's Green. Netball is growing in popularity, and on match day in Broomfield Park, it really is fantastic to see so many girls and women playing the sport they love. Hopefully, the improved facilities will allow us to bring all the physical and mental health benefits of playing a team sport to even more women in North London. It is hoped that participation in netball will increase by a fifth within 2 years of the new facilities being completed. Works on the site, if the plans are approved, are expected to start in late spring and finish by September 2020. Martab Udin, the Council's Cabinet Member for Public Health, added, "We are keen to promote both netball and tennis as fully inclusive activities that can help improve people's health and well-being in a positive and encouraging atmosphere. As well as supporting the NLNL, we hope to start a new walking netball programme for those who perhaps are new to the sport or are not as active. In addition, our Back to Netball programme will reintroduce the sport to those who have not played for some time."
This item is entitled A Little Compassion. Dear Enfield Dispatch, Enfield residents have got the power to change our community for the better by being part of North London Hospice's Compassionate Neighbours project. Help us involve people who are lonely and isolated and are living with a chronic illness by exploring their interests and finding out what's going on around them. Join our free local training on Friday the 6th and 13th of December at North London Hospice in Winchmore Hill. How you can support the project After that is up to you. There are many options, from visiting someone regularly to helping us develop our local connections. For more details, email, there's a number here, cn@northlondonhospital.co.uk. We look forward to seeing you. And this is by Rebecca Eastick of the North London Hospice. And now for something entirely different. School children will receive free cycling lessons paid for by Enfield Council. The lessons will see all children in specific year groups in primary and secondary school receiving coaching lessons. As part of efforts to make the borough carbon neutral by 2030, the policy will encourage young people to use sustainable forms of transport and give them the skills and confidence to ride safely. It is the first major announcement to emanate from the Council's new Climate Change Task Force, whose chair, Ian Barnes, the Deputy Council leader, said, "The rollout of free cycle training across schools will play an important role in reducing reliance on cars."
This is another item by James Cracknell, and it's headed up "Wheelchair User Slams Council Over Access." Enfield Council has apologised to wheelchair users for an oversight after blocking them from using an entrance to Broomfield Park. After a concrete block was placed in front of an entrance to the park, and it was installed to stop vehicles from entering illegally, only enough space was left for people to enter on foot. Local wheelchair user Nina Grant, whose picture appears in the paper, was outraged by the sudden blocking and had threatened to take legal action against the council if they did not move it. Although other entrances to the park allow wheelchair access, the gate blocked by the council was the nearest one to Nina's home, forcing her to use an alternative entrance 300 metres away. Nina was especially angry with the council because after submitting a Freedom of Information request about the decision to block the entrance, she discovered that no equal impact assessment had been carried out. It's discriminating against a particular group of people, she told the Dispatch. A public body like the council has to give due consideration to how it affects protected groups. Nina enjoys following the path inside the park on her route home from Palmer's Green, but had been forced to follow the pavement instead. She added, "It is a really lovely park. If they'd put it, the barrier itself, slightly to the side, it would still have blocked vehicles without blocking me." After several weeks, the council moved the barricade and apologised. A spokesman said the concrete barriers were placed to prevent illegal encampments, presumably by gypsies, I suppose. Unfortunately, their positioning prevented the wheelchairs to have access to the park at that particular entrance. These barriers have now been moved, and we would like to apologise to anyone inconvenienced by the barriers.
A cycle scheme shortlisted for prize. Enfield Council's A105 cycle lanes scheme has been nominated for a top national transport award. The Cycle Enfield initiative along Green Lanes, built using Transport for London Mini Holland cash, is a finalist for the prestigious Transport Planning Society's People's Award. The scheme was opened in March 2018 and introduced more than 6 miles of protected cycle lanes from the North Circular through Palmer's Green, Winchmore Hill and up to Enfield Town. An overall winner for the prize, deemed to be the most noteworthy transport planning initiative of the year by the Transport Planning Society, the professional body for transport planners in the UK, will be named at a ceremony at the Institution for Civil Engineers on Wednesday the 20th of November. A panel of judges spent the summer looking for schemes that had made a real difference to people's access to services, quality of life and well-being, and decided to include the Cycle Enfield project on a 5-strong shortlist. It had been nominated by local campaign group Better Streets for Enfield. The council has recorded an increase in cycling along the A105 of up to 85% since the cycle lanes were opened, helping to boost people's health. However, some local business owners have complained about a loss of trade since the number of parking spaces was reduced, while the president of the National Federation of the Blind UK has said some elements of the scheme endanger blind and partially sighted people. Stephen Bennett, chair of the Transport Planning Society, said, "While major projects hit the headlines, this award is a reminder that often the most important initiatives are ones that take place in the local community, informed or even led by local people. Projects that keep us connected to the things we need every day, our jobs, schools, green spaces and health services." Other nominees for the award include a green walk in Lincolnshire and another cycle scheme in Plymouth. Judges include Stephen Joseph, former chief executive of the Campaign for Better Transport.
Another sporting item now, this time on how Enfield Town Football Club is committed to supporting the local community. Enfield Town Football Club has, from time to time since its formation, supported a preferred local charity, invariably one which provides services that reflect the community ethos of the club. The Enfield Town Board recently decided that the club will link up with a different locally based group for the duration of a whole season, and for the current season the chosen charity partner would be Zebras Children and Adults Charity. Zebras aim to support both children and adults with disabilities to live the way they choose. The charity believes it is important that if you have a disability, you must be given the chance to get the most out of life. Crucially, Enfield Town's disability team will, in particular, benefit from Zebra's input. I've been very keen for a long time for the club to have a link with an Enfield-based charity, says club director Dave Bryant, who helped drive the new partnership. Zebras fits in with our ethos of being an inclusive club. We've had one-off arrangements in the past, but the idea is to promote a local charity every season as long as it has a clear Enfield dimension. It wouldn't necessarily be an exclusive deal, and we'd still be open to working with others, but it's the first time we've identified a charity partner to focus our attention on a particular enterprise. In future, it could be any charity in Enfield, whether it be refugees living in the borough, the homeless, or cancer sufferers. It's of mutual benefit because it also helps promote our existence and hopefully brings in more fans. Among Zebra's initiatives are helping people gain employment experience, improving health and well-being, building confidence and self-esteem, alleviating the effects of poverty for individuals, families and carers, and diminishing stigma, inequality, abuse and discrimination. The charity's relationship with the club will include the provision of space at a number of home matches during the course of the season for Zebras to promote itself and raise funds. In October, Zebras were invited to the Cheshunt local derby game at Queen Elizabeth II Stadium, where over £100 was raised and a zebra outfit was used by the mascot. Harriet Piercy and Jamie Ashton, founders of Zebras, could not disguise their excitement at being selected. We are very proud of the work we do in our borough, which is far and wide-reaching for such a small charity with only a handful of volunteers, they said. This has been a great year so far, and we are very much looking forward to working with Enfield Town.
Change your habits to fight winter tiredness. It's a scenario that many of us are familiar with. No matter how much coffee you drink or how many motivational podcasts you blast through your headphones, you're still yawning into the crook of your elbow all day and counting down the hours until bedtime. Whether it's the lack of sunlight or looming Christmas deadlines or bone-chilling temperatures, the winter months can often leave many of us feeling plagued by fatigue, tortured by sub-quality sleep and running on empty. If you're over-caffeinating to get through the day and feel groggy most mornings, it might be time to intervene with some self-help. We spoke to experts to find a few simple yet effective ways to beat the energy crisis and have a natural flow of get up and go. Put sleep on your plate. It's no secret that sleep has a huge impact on energy levels during the day, and if you don't get enough of it, you're more likely to feel snoozy the next day. For a great night's kip, strive to eat a balanced diet that factors in the amino acid tryptophan, which nutritionalist Bob Hobson explains is used in the brain to synthesize the sleep hormone melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone made naturally by your body that signals that it's time to hit the hay. Tryptophan is found in foods such as turkey, soy, nuts, seeds, oily fish, beans and pulses, explains Hobson, who is speaking on behalf of healthspan.co.uk. Dr. Meg Arroll, a leading psychologist specialising in behaviour and health change, also advises eating an evening meal that's loaded with carbohydrates, such as pasta or rice, as this helps with the uptake of tryptophan into the brain. Try something new. Routine can be a good thing, but repeating the same tasks over and over can mentally add to that sluggish, same-old feeling during the winter months. Just as eating a range of foods helps to support our physical health, stimulating the mind with diverse mental nourishment boosts vitality and energy. Whether it's finding a new exercise class, indulging in a new creative hobby, or taking in some live music, breaking your routine can help to make the days feel more fulfilling. Get moving. During the winter months, it can be harder to find the motivation to exercise, but maintaining a regular regime can make you feel more energetic, strengthen your immune system, and improve your mood, says Dr. Aaron Tyagarajan, Medical Director from Bupa Health Clinics. Aside from keeping you in good shape, He notes that a workout has mental benefits, releasing a potent mix of the feel-good chemicals serotonin and dopamine, which can help you de-stress after a long day at work and ease symptoms of anxiety and depression. Just 30 minutes in the day could change your whole outlook on winter, even if it's just a brisk walk. Want to stick to a routine? Leave your trainers in plain sight to prompt that morning walk and put the healthy food at eye level in the fridge rather than tucked away in the chiller drawer. Little healthy tweaks like this really do go a long way, she said. Let there be light. Sunlight doesn't just keep us warm, it also plays a huge role in keeping us healthy and energised. In the brighter months, it works as a natural alarm clock, says Dr. Luke Poles, Associated Clinical Director for Bupa Health Clinics. As we approach winters, though, we'll often find ourselves getting up in the dark, making it harder to find that get-up-and-go feeling. In addition to the psychological effects of shorter days, sunlight also plays an important role in helping the body produce hormones called melatonin and serotonin. The former is used to help regulate our sleep patterns and keep us feeling alert. Similarly, serotonin is used to help regulate our mood. In layman's terms, it's the happy hormone, says Poles. When we're in short supply of serotonin, it's more likely that we'll feel gloomy or disinterested. While a sunny holiday might sound like a nice way to increase our exposure to sunlight, the reality is that it's not always possible. Thankfully, there are other alternatives, and many of us will see some benefit just by taking a walk outside for as little as 20 to 30 minutes a day, Poles says. Otherwise, you can also try using SAD lamps. These are plug-in indoor lights which mimic the sun and are thought to boost levels of serotonin and melanin alike. Although evidence around light therapy is still not 100% conclusive, Poles says that it does look as though SAD lamps can deliver positive short-term effects.
This article is from the November the 6th issue of the Enfield Independent, and quite frankly, I don't understand certain aspects of it. It reads, "A child was struck on the head by falling debris after a lighting unit reportedly collapsed at the swimming pool. London Ambulance Service rushed to the pool at Southbury Leisure Centre on Sunday, October the 27th, and treated a child at the scene before taking the child to hospital. Fusion Lifestyle, which manages the centre, says somebody threw an item upwards, causing a ceiling fitting to fall at the poolside. Ed Seamer, who's aged 36, was at the pool when the incident happened, and he said, "I thought a bomb had gone off when the lighting unit fell." He said the whole lighting unit, which was 20 metres long, just snapped off the roof and it skimmed the child's head. Well, these two things don't make too much sense. There were around 20 people in the pool when it happened. Everyone who was there was shocked by what had happened. The whole thing was very traumatic. The pool was temporarily closed, but of course has since reopened. A full investigation by Fusion Lifestyle is underway into the incident.
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Colin, Joan and Geoffrey and Hass on the controls, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet and put the memory stick into the packet in a closed position and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking newspaper on 0208 805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound, and the Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time. InfoSound.
There's been quite a lot of talk in the news recently, in fact it's still going on, about whether the BBC should fund a free TV licence for everyone aged 75 and over in the UK, something which at the moment is not going to happen. But irrespective of age, there's a 50% discount for registered blind, otherwise known as severely sight-impaired people, when they buy their annual TV licence. TV licences are needed when watching and recording live TV and when downloading from the BBC's iPlayer. So, if you are registered blind, you'll need to produce your CVI or Certificate of Vision Impairment in order to get the discount. Your discounted licence will also cover anyone who lives with you in the same property. If you're partially sighted or sight impaired, you are not eligible for the discount. The full annual TV licence is currently £154.50, so the 50% discounted cost is £77.25. If you want to find out whether or not you are eligible, or if you'd like to ask for any further information, you can phone TV licensing on 0300 790 6076. That's 0300 790 6076. Or you can email enquiries@tvlicensing, all run together as one lowercase word, enquiries@tvlicensing.co.uk. Alternatively, full details about the discount can be found on the TV licensing website at www.tvlicensing.co.uk, and then go to the section under the link called Blind (severely sight impaired). Here you'll find a downloadable form which you'll need to print and complete, and then post your completed form, cheque payment and a photocopy of your local authority document or ophthalmologist certificate to TV Licensing, Blind Concession Group, Darlington, DL 98 1TL. That's TV Licensing, Blind Concession Group, Darlington, DL 98 1TL. They also ask you to, if possible, include either your licence renewal notice or TV licence number if you have a current TV licence. But as mentioned, if you want any further guidance or help about the TV licence discount, just phone 0300 790 6076. And information from TV licensing is available on request in Braille, in audio, in large print, or it can be emailed to you.
InfoSound. News and information about living with sight loss. From InfoSound.
The recent news that Barclays Bank had reversed its decision to prevent customers withdrawing money from the post office network shows just how volatile the banking system is these days. Gone are the days when even a reasonably sized village might have a couple of banks and maybe a building society branch in its high street. Bank and building society branches are being closed at what some see as an alarming rate, and even many post offices are living on borrowed time, although that's another story. For blind and partially sighted people in particular, not having a branch nearby can cause very specific and acute challenges if, for example, you can't access and manage your money, and importantly get information about what your bank or building society can offer you in a way that's accessible to you. RNIB has long campaigned on all of these concerns, and a while back they championed the accelerated rollout of talking ATMs or cash machines, their arrival being something that's been greeted in the main with approval by vision-impaired people. So how well are banks and building societies actually doing these days to make sure that blind and partially sighted people can use their services in the same way as sighted people, compared with, say, 10 years ago? Well, this is something we put to Michael Wordingham, Policy and Campaigns Officer at RNIB.
I think it's hard to tell, but I would say it's better, and there are far more avenues that people can explore to get hands on their money and to pay bills and to be financially independent. There are challenges which have come in the last few years, particularly around the closure of bank branches and post offices. So possibly in rural areas and for people who maybe don't have access to technology, challenges are still there. But across the board, I think things have improved.
And is awareness amongst bank and building society staff, if one can generalise, do you think better? And I'm thinking particularly of that group you mentioned before, those who may not have access to technology, who may be more distant from things like talking ATMs and a branch. Do staff at the other end of the phone, do you think, have more empathy and more knowledge about the challenges faced by vision-impaired people?
We hear it's a mixed bag, as with everything. We hear some great stories of staff members going out of their way to support and assist people in branches and over the phone. And then there are times where this falls down, and we try wherever we can through regional campaigning and through influencing nationally to improve the quality of training and awareness of staff.
I guess one thing that has evolved, correct me if I'm wrong, but over the last few years are talking ATMs, cash machines that actually talk to the person who's trying to get their money out or maybe pay a bill or maybe just check their balance. How is that all going now?
Well, as I say, these things evolved and changed. So we had the Make Money Talk campaign a few years ago by the RNIB, and we had great success, and a large number of banks started putting in talking ATMs, Barclays, Lloyds, Halifax, Sainsbury's, Nationwide, and Santander, and others. And it has been a great success, and I'm a guide dog user myself, and when I'm at ATMs I can use them and they can be very helpful. I think it's that whole picture I was talking about earlier. The branches have to be there and have to be close by, and transport has to be in place for people to get to them in the first place. And we need to work closely, and we are working closely with banks to make sure that the cash machines that remain wherever possible are talking cash machines.
Just going back to what you were talking about earlier and the technology, be that a banking app on your smart mobile phone or using a computer, because internet banking is now commonplace these days. Do you feel that that area is being checked for its accessibility, ease of use, and I guess behind all that, the training to make sure that blind and partially sighted people are given a level playing field so they can use it?
It is, as you say, it's a sort of two-pronged approach. We have to work with the companies and with the technology companies to make sure the apps are accessible, and they work with screen readers and they work on each device, whether it be a laptop or a phone or tablet, and we work closely with tech companies to do that. And then, as I say, we then have to make sure as many blind and partially sighted people as possible are upskilled to be able to use these devices. And I think one of the challenges that happens is that technology is changing so quickly, we all have to keep up. And as blind and partially sighted people, we need to keep up wherever we can. And for people who can't access these alternatives, there do need to be solid alternatives in place.
Now, clearly, as you've said, you've campaigned at RNIB and others have had their say in terms of accessibility to make sure that for blind and partially sighted people, getting hold of what is, after all, their own money and managing it is made as easy as possible. But does it still need an individual to get in touch with their bank or their building society and say, look, I'm finding this difficult, please make it easier for me?
I think you really hit the nail on the head. That's what we need to do. I think RNIB gave a great spurt, as you said, early on, and we're continuing to work with banks and building societies. But it needs to be sort of a grassroots campaign as well. We need both. We need the influencing and we need customers to get in touch with their banks and demand that they have access to their money and their financial information so they can be financially independent. And that's true in so many areas, that we need the sort of ground force of customers to raise awareness throughout the countries and make sure everybody knows about it. Because we always say that access to financial information and all information is the right thing to do, and I think most companies agree it's the right thing to do, but it also makes business sense. And if you're not giving access to a proportion of your customers and a growing proportion of your customers, then it doesn't make business sense to do that. And so that message has to go out from both the organisations and customers.
So, there's the encouragement, should it be needed, to talk directly to your bank or building society should you have any problems with getting at, with managing, or getting the information you need about your money. But should there be a particular issue that you feel the RNIB campaigns team could best deal with, they can be contacted by initially either phoning the RNIB helpline on 0303 123 9999. That's 0303 123 9999, or by emailing campaigns@rnib.org.uk. You might then be put in touch with a local RNIB campaigns officer who could, if necessary, take a closer look at the situation. And if you use social media, RNIB runs various Facebook groups which often share consumer experiences, including that relating to banking and financial services. Again, you can call the RNIB helpline for more details about those.
Infosound. Infosound.
Cobalt Systems sells a combined radio-controlled clock, a calendar and an indoor and outdoor thermometer. The indoor thermometer being measured by the calendar clock itself, the outdoor temperature being read by a small weatherproof, wirelessly linked rectangular plastic box placed somewhere outside. And the voice of this unit sounds like this.
The time is now 21 minutes past 11 a.m.
Now, the clock itself measures roughly 5 by 9 by 2 inches, and as well as talking, the time, the date and the temperatures are also displayed on a large backlit liquid crystal display. The design in silver and dark brown with wood effect ends is what's described as retro style, and Simon Cox from Cobalt outlined what this unit does.
Along the top it's got a long slender button that makes the clock speak, and also it will light up as well as it speaks. And then on the front, lower down, is another button that selects mode, so date, temperature, and it will speak the inside and outdoor temperature because it has a little device that is linked to it through a radio signal, which is a waterproof device, so you can hang that outside, you can put it on your patio, you can put it in your greenhouse, as long as it's within about 20 metres and ideally clear line of sight with the clock. The clock will then speak the temperature that that little box sees. And all the functions speak, and it's also radio controlled, so obviously it will keep itself set. Assuming that you're in an area that can pick up a radio controlled atomic signal, then the clock will always be right. If you are not, then you can set the clock manually as well.
As we heard, all setting functions are spoken, and the clock also has an alarm with optional snooze and hourly report functions. The temperature ranges are for indoor temperatures between freezing and 50 degrees Celsius, and for outdoors it's between minus 20 degrees Celsius and plus 60 degrees Celsius. The clock is powered by 2 AA batteries, and the remote sensor is powered by 2 AAA alkaline batteries, and it's sold with all the batteries needed for both the clock and the remote sensor. And this retro-style, radio-controlled, talking calendar clock and indoor-outdoor thermometer costs £39.95 from Cobalt. Incidentally, they also sell a talking single-screen indoor and outdoor thermometer on its own, so no calendar clock, and this has a wired lead for the outdoor sensor, so that could be led through a window to a point outside the house, for example. This device will announce in a female voice both the indoor and outdoor temperatures in either degrees Celsius or degrees Fahrenheit, and an alarm can be set to warn if the temperature goes above 38 degrees Celsius or below freezing. And the onboard voice sounds like this.
The indoor temperature is 24.4 degrees Celsius.
The base unit measures roughly 80 by 110 by 20 millimetres, and it's powered by 2 AAA batteries which are included, and the price is £16.95. Both prices mentioned include VAT, postage and packing is free. And should you want to know more about either the retro-style radio-controlled talking calendar clock with indoor and outdoor thermometer or the standalone indoor-outdoor talking thermometer, you can phone Cobalt Systems on 01 493 700 172. That's 01 493 700 172. Or they can be emailed at sales@cobalt, spelt COBOLT.co.uk.
Infosound. Infosound.
Last summer, one of the smallest USB audio players came onto the market. The Solo USB personal audio player, the youngest brother of King's Access Audio Technology's larger Sovereign and Sonic USB players, measures just 86 by 55 by 18 millimetres, and it weighs little more than 60 grams. USB memory sticks, sometimes called thumb drives, are probably one of the most commonly used media for talking books and local talking newspapers and magazines, and they can also be used with any type of audio, like a personal music collection, for example, or recording notes or a meeting or a talk. Although the Solo is so small and therefore normally plays sound back through plugged-in headphones, it can also be wirelessly linked using Bluetooth to other devices. The Solo has a rechargeable battery, and it's designed with high colour contrast yellow buttons on a black background with various controls. In fact, there are only 6 of them, each having a distinct shape and tactile feel, as we discovered when Paul Lopez-Salcido from King's Access Technology skipped through the specification of the Solo player for us, explaining its charging, its audio file storage, navigation and playback, and first of all, its controls.
We still have an on and off switch with a click which is rotary. The size and shape of the buttons are all unique, so you can navigate around by touch. And you navigate through folders, so if you put, say, a talking news in one folder on the memory stick, some music in a second folder, a book in a third folder, you use a round select function button and you can navigate between folders. You have an on-off volume control, which is a wheel, so it's a positive physical tactile control. And then you have the usual King's controls of play, pause, track forward and back, cue back and forward, and you can change folders as well. We provide it with our bespoke USB-C charger. You plug it in, it will charge to about 90% in about an hour, so it's very fast. Whereas the visual indicators of charging, which is a charge LED on the side next to the charge port, then when the device is powered on, the 10 LEDs on the top show you the power level when you first switch it on. If you have headphones plugged in, you will get a real voice audio announcements telling you of the charge level, and you can do this while it's on charge as well. You can get an accurate report of the charge level.
Now, the price of the Solo USB personal audio player is £66.65. This price excludes VAT, which applies if this player is bought by or for someone who's blind or partially sighted. And 2 places where it can be bought are British Wireless for the Blind Fund's trading arm, BWBF Direct, and the RNIB shop. So, should you want to know anything else about the device and what it can do, you can get in touch with either BWBF Direct on 01 622 754 757. That's 01 622 754 757. Email info info@blind.org.uk, info@blind.org.uk, or RNIB on 0303 123 9999. That's 0303 123 9999. Email helpline@rnib.org.uk. helpline@rnib.org.uk. Incidentally, we briefly mentioned the larger desktop but still portable USB players that have also been designed by King's Access Technology. These are once again the Sovereign and the Sonic. If you're not looking for the ultra portability of the Solo, as it will fit inside a handbag or a pocket, the Sovereign and Sonic players are fairly similar in terms of their audio storage, handling, playback and connectivity, including Bluetooth, and they're both priced at £49.95. Again, that price excludes VAT, which should not be charged on these players if someone is blind or partially sighted. And again, these are also available from BWBF Direct and from the RNIB shop.
InfoSound.